Hi everybody. This is the, I'm just going to go over some of the syllabus and show you kind of what's expected and what we're going to be doing. I want to remind everybody that this is classical drawing. I have a degree in painting and printmaking at an art school, Cornish, up in Seattle. So 4 years of foundational drawing like you guys are going to do, and then we eventually went into advanced, which had to do with learning composition and actually drawing more complicated drawings, and then of course life drawing with models, which was really cool. I've also taught that at Evergreen State College and privately. I used to have a studio downtown Olympia, which was really fun. I had an extra room and we had models in there. So the classical drawing, there are other, it means you're going to be drawing like the masters did. You're going to learn the basics, which I'll go over, of learning how to hold the charcoal. You're not going to be using them like a regular pencil, and your materials list includes the kinds of charcoal you're going to need. Those you can usually break in half, and that's the only way you can actually do this correctly, like making a circle into a 3D object like an apple. So you're going to learn those skills. You can use those for other things. So this is not about, learning line and just, drawing your favorite things like cars. It's not graphic, novel type of cartoonish looking things. Those tend to be real flat with no value, which means shading. So I'm going to show you I'm going to change the camera and show you the syllabus here. If this doesn't fall down, it's the first time I've used this system. So what we do here is, let's see, it shows the dates. This is a session 2 course, so it starts April 15th, which you already probably know. So I just described that. You will learn how solving problems, it says. This is kind of a standard description, I guess. I've changed it a little bit. You learn the elements of flat surfaces with experience in vitality of line, which you're going to use for your this first week. The types of line, and then we're going to go into the types of drawings next week. Gesture, which is kind of probably going to surprise you, and it looks messy, but it's a way of getting into a real vital drawing. But you're also going to learn how to do contour drawing, which is probably a little more familiar to you. It's just doing the outline of something. Like if you take a cup, it's just the outline. And you'll learn proportion doing that. Then after that, we go into gesture. I should probably put contour first here. Cross hatching, you probably know what that is. We're going to use that next week also. And then you're going to learn how to do the value to make something 3D in a more sophisticated way with your charcoal. You're going to use your finger for shading if you want. And also there's, I'll show you in a minute once I get done with syllabus, but this is it's called a stump, and it's another way of not getting your hands messy that you do value, and I'll show you that today. I'm going to show you the basics of portrait, how to do the human head, and that will really allow you to then go on to, like, you'll be more, proficient in doing actual somebody's face, and then the human form, like I was talking before. And then landscapes, beginning elements to draw portraits, again, by learning the map and proportions of the human head. You're going to see Leonardo da Vinci's drawings, where he actually broke it down into lines to get the proportion correct, and that will really help you. And that is learning from somebody, in the 1500s. So you're really going to learn from the masters, not just me. And that'll help you do that. And then I mentioned this already. The elements and principles of design are really important. I'm going to also do a video about that. Those are things like color, line, the different kinds. There's many different kinds of line that you're going to learn. Just the straight line is one, and that's pretty simple. And then more dynamic lines, that like one that shows like almost like electricity or something. And it's real important to learn those different kinds that you can use, so you're aware of all of them. Principles of design are different. They're like unity, rhythm, a little more the kind of the next step, and it's what all artists think about when they do that. This is about the assignments each week, and I'm going to have more detail down here in the document. There's a course for your assignments each week. I'm going to be more explicit about what I want. You're going to do at least 2 drawings based on the information and the demos, and there's PowerPoints. The PowerPoints I'm usually going to do lectures on. Then to get them to me, you're going to take a photo and then upload them into the course. I'll have a link there. Okay, I also want you to keep a sketchbook, just different than your other papers that you're going to need to buy, because you're also going to have this kind of, this kind of thing with the binder looking like that for your drawing, and also you're going to have eventually just sheets of paper when you do more finished ones. Student outcomes you can go over. You can go over that. I'll be doing that anyway each week. The degree outcomes, what you're going to end up learning. Course requirements, the one I want to concentrate on is the late assignments policy. I think every professor has these. They're all due every Sunday night. Everything for the week is due that night. Unless you have special permission, this is a military program, so I have lots of people, and I understand this. I've been teaching for this program for probably 10, 12 years. If you're either deployed, which I don't think is happening anymore, or training, like you have to go to Yakima for training. And that is a situation where, as I've experienced it, is you're told that day. So, and I really like that you could at some point, many students do it that morning and send an email to me. So that's why I know why you're missing in the course. Every module I'm loading, and I'm just starting to do this. I'm actually recording this on March 23rd. I'm going to have, not always, but some readings like articles. These are part of a lot of times the historical context, which I'm going to do a lecture on every single week. When I do one on value or composition, I'm going to show you what that looks like with artists from the past and the current artists. So you're going to be really aware of how these kind of translate into actual work that artists are doing. Slideshows, I'm going to do those. And so you're going to have you do a minimum of 2 or more images, drawings by Sunday, which I just mentioned, and they're graded. And just go over the grading, the points and things, so that will show you that. I want you to have when you look at the materials list, which is in there also, each at least 9 by 12, a sketchbook. So this one is a little bit smaller, so I want you to start working where you have more room. You don't have to fill the page, but of any content, subject matter. For instance, when you're using line, your second page, the first one would be kind of doing line, and then the second image that I want is where you're actually showing how you're using it. If you're drawing a chair, for instance, or whatever is in front of you or outside. And for each one, I want you to use at least 4. Now this will probably be later, maybe week 3, when you actually need more to show these different concepts here. Then you're going to have, oh, I'm sorry, this is the final project. Those have to be the 9x12. This is a final project. It's like your what would be a a long quiz or something, but this is going to be actually doing. So only 2 drawings on this size of paper, and showing at least 4 of the concepts you learned. So and this is just an example, and you're going to learn a lot, including it as an essay that I want you to add on a like a 3rd page, the intent. Why you choose the subject you did, how each of the 4 concepts worked for you, and I would also say how they appear in and affect the actual drawing. Let's see, and how each one helped you express, how did gesture help you express this, or perspective. If you're doing buildings or a street, you're going to have to learn how to properly get that into proportion, which was invented even before Da Vinci, which really changed how it made everything look more lifelike. But how you express that, art is all about expressing, and you're going to have that ability to do that. Even when, you're all going to do different line drawings, and this one in the project I just want to know how this all worked for you and what you used. And at least one of the elements of art and one of the principles design you used in drawing, and how they contribute to and affect your drawing. The last week you're going to do, I'm actually giving you 2 weeks to do this, but also week 9, I want 1-page essay choosing an example of an artist that you learned about in the course. That could be current, which I'll be doing, weeks from now. And the current artists are really exciting, and they're the ones you probably identify with more. It's amazing people. A lot of them had to do with social issues, so you can look at those. Let's see. Grading, I'm not going to go through the rest of this because you can look at this online. I want to look at the schedule. So this gives you an idea of what the schedule is going to look like, what you're going to be doing week to week. I may, because this is brand new and I've got several more weeks to work on this, I'm going to keep going over this. I probably won't change anything in the first week, but I'm going to let you know if I've changed something. These, I think, are pretty, this one, I think, needs to have the word basic shapes. We're going to look at those. And then we go into value. Perspective is something you'll love learning about. And then notice I'm saying 2 to 3 pages. Composition, that means how you set up a real drawing. If you're doing landscapes, how do you put the trees or the field or whatever you're looking at? How's the background look? When you learn perspective, linear atmospheric perspective. Linear is using line, like doing buildings or a street. Atmospheric shows, and I'll show you the different concepts of how to do that. Atmospheric is where they learned back in the 1500s how to make something look further away. And a good example is mountains. And even Mona Lisa has this in the background. When Da Vinci started using this to great effect, it looked much more realistic. She's sitting on a balcony in her house. She was a real person. And he's got some things up in the front part, and then he shows in the back. And the whole idea about atmospheric and to show depth is to, typically if it's mountains, they have almost no detail. And the mountains, usually the faraway ones, have a bluish look to it. I think that has to do with light in the atmosphere. But atmospheric, that's why they call that. So it's where you can see if you do trees and then you do a mountain behind it. This is one of the things you're going to use to make it look like that. I'm going to let you start with color. I normally don't do that, but I want to show you this. It's really, really fun. It's a step past your charcoal because you're going to be working in black and white mostly up until week 6. So you have several weeks to, add those into what you're doing, especially faces. So this is what you need. Soft pastels, not oil pastels. You're going to have there's a list of what you need. There's about 12 things. You're going to, if you didn't, there's no textbook here. So normally you have to buy a textbook. So it probably will be the same amount of cost. I don't want any colored pencils unless there's some reason why that makes more sense to you and you can convince me not. This is going to work just like, and I'll show you today, it works just like your charcoal, only they're colored, and they're really beautiful. They're easier to mush around with your finger or the stump, and I'll show you that when we get to this part in a little bit today. Then we'll look at the human figure and the face. This shows the artist paper at the end and the project, and again, you'll be turning that in if you want. You can turn it in this week or otherwise the other. Now, let's see if we can get some of this. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. This is what you're going to be doing the first week. I'll do another page here. So this is a nice size you can start with. Let me see what size it's actually. Oh, this is actually a sketchbook that I got. Some of them have, maybe I'll show you if I can grab it. And it will show the actual name of the company, etc. Here's one that's larger. And Canson is the name of this company. It has excellent paper quality. This is for mixed media, so this can be used even for watercolor painting if you want to do that. Watercolor generally has thicker and kind of bumpy. Now this one is 14 by 17 inches, so that gives you an idea, and then it's got the same kind of binding there. That's what you're going to be looking at. So this one is a good place for me to show you. This is actually just like a journal sketchbook that I've used. I'm going to show you a couple things here. I didn't intend to do this, but why not? These are examples. I mean, this is just a sketch that I did in pastel. And it shows you, it's not particularly sophisticated, but I was doing it thinking about a painting that I actually did. So, and this doesn't show the kind of depth that I was talking about. This would be a way to make it look like this. So it's going to the back. If there were mountains back here, then it would be more obvious. But this would be a little bit lighter as you go back. Here's just a chair. This is a kind of drawing you're going to be doing. Right, probably next week and the week after. There's got some hatching here. Let's see if there's anything else. Flowers, I have some. Maybe not. I've got several of these over the years. Yeah. Now, remember that you can, when you start doing drawings, you can actually also use a picture if you want. I don't, again, want cartoonish things, real drawings, or not drawings, but picture from a magazine that you can kind of use as a subject matter. So I'm not talking about you copying it exact or anything, because everything you do is going to be a unique expression no matter what you do. Everyone is going to do completely different, even if they were doing the same picture. So otherwise, like landscapes, you can do outside, trees you can do outside, leaves, things like that. So just the last part of this here, and I'm going to show you some examples in this Drawing Academy book. So this is what I want you to do. That there is a materials list, but this actually shows you what they look like. These are the most beautiful, the best quality, because I learned how to what to get in art school. I've got a box here of many of the others. You can see I've got a ton of them here. So there's different things that you can buy. Like I said, not pencils. And I do that so because pencils don't, unless you are way more, you know, educated in this and practiced in this, it's not going to do you any good. Because they're so specific. It's almost like architectural drawings. The first two things here, and they're called compressed charcoal. And it says right here, and this is hard. So there's some softer ones. I think these might be. There's also what we call vine charcoal. This doesn't show you. You're going to buy these in long, they're going to be long strips, almost like pencil length. And you just break them. You can't use that. And by the way, you're not going to be drawing like this, like you're holding a pencil. You're going to be doing this, no matter if you're drawing a line or not. So that will be something to get used to, because everyone's used to doing this. That does not get you the kind of line that you want in this class. This is another, it's a little bit softer and lighter than the other compressed charcoal I showed you. Let's see, and then you can get charcoal pencils. Those are the exception here. I actually don't have any, I don't think. No, I don't. Okay, as you get further in the course, if you're thinking that you want to try something like just a graphite pencil, this is not a regular pencil. Oops. And they come in different, so see, this is another way of drawing. It's still soft enough where you can mush it around like that to make something look, you know, three-dimensional. Also, there are, this started in the Renaissance too, is red red pastels, or no, I'm sorry, red charcoal. And you'll see, I'll show you in the next video about what some of those look like. These are real common in old pictures. Here's brown. So, and this would come in darker shade, but not too many. This is for a certain kind of look. And then the red one is more what you see a lot with Renaissance paintings. I'm going to show you the stump, how that works. See how it softens and blends, and it also allows you to kind of go out and get softer. And this will make more of a, this is how you can shape things with value. We're not going to get into this kind of detail until we get into the value, which is, I think, the third week. And then I'll do some a little bit more detailed ones here. This is the one I really love. I just fell in love with these because they're really dark. I think I used to have one that was even darker than this. It was my favorite. So I do a lot of drawing, not so much anymore because I've been teaching so much. But I'll show you again how this works. You can see how easily this blends in. You can also use an eraser. I'm going to show you how to do that. You can use an eraser to actually make highlighting. And I want you to get a hard eraser, not the gum erasers. Those are for something different, and you can't get really hard edges like this. You also can do, and I'm going to have you do that this week, this first week, using the eraser to actually draw, which I love doing. And I actually had that concept when I was painting, oil painting. So I'll show you. So you go along doing this for whatever, and then you can use this to actually, and you can see how this, and you can get this even if you break it off, you can draw a line with this. however you need to do it. And I'll show you more of that later. So here is a darker brown. Look how dark and rich that is. It's really wonderful. And the vine charcoal, these are all still compressed. The vine charcoals, as I said, I'm going to get a bigger one here. These are the ones that are really, really good for when you're first sketching out like anything, like a tree. You can kind of get really quickly the shape of it. This is more gesture that you're going to learn. This is how you really get without, you don't want to get like super, that's why I don't want you to use pencils. It's the kind of what the Impressionists did. You're getting the impression of a tree, depending on what the tree is, a little bit. And then also you're going to learn about using where the light is coming from. So if the light is here outside, and you've got daylight, these are going to be lighter on this side. You're eventually going to do darker parts here. And I'm going to pop these in and then show, and you can see already what it would look like. When you do these in like green pastels, you're really going to see something really beautiful. So that means, and I want to take this out so I can show you. If there's a trunk, you would have, don't even have to put a line there. You could, you'd already have the light shining on there. You can also have a white pastel or a white compressed. Let me see if I've got one. I don't think I do. To make that white. Instead, I'm gonna kind of use this, and that will show the light is shining on that. So then here I can show you how you would kind of finish this off. These are not meant to be like, if you want, they're not meant to be like a super finished drawing with leaves on it and stuff. So it's the idea of dark and light, which you will. And they're really cool. This allows you, so many people are scared to death of drawing. And I don't want you to do that. I've taught this privately for years, and that's what people initially come in saying, I can't draw other than, I always hear this, stick figure. You're going to learn how to not, you're going to learn how to actually make something look alive and go from there. This is also a place where you could use, go back in and pop whatever you need to do that. So that gives you an idea of the first part of drawing. Now, what I want you to do this week is to fool around with what the materials that you get. I'd like you to have, you don't need to get the soft pastels until later. I want you to have at least one of the red ones, and you can do the compressed charcoal in different forms of red. Let's see. Have one of the very compressed charcoals that I showed you. One of these, and you're, like I said, I'm going to give you a complete list in a document. It's in the course, what your materials are. They're not very expensive, so I want you to have at least these three. This is basically the same as that. Here's another darker brown. These can be helpful if you're doing something that's brown, even like a cup or a pitcher. You would use, this is a way you could use, you know, if you were doing a pitcher for water, you would be using this, and then you could use this for the medium tone, and then you'll leave this light. There's also the concept of cast shadow. You would use that, either black. Shadows in painting have color in them. Everything, black has color in it. And I learned that quickly in our school. So there's a cast shadow. It's usually the color of, I mean, not the color, but the shape of whatever you're drawing. And then you make it a little bit darker there. You can make these look super realistic, and it's very satisfying to do that. It's darker right here, and then it gets a little bit lighter, and you'll see that in demos. I'm also going to provide demos from other people from YouTube. Let's see, and go up here. So you can get it really dark here and then move into that. And the contour you're not really going to put in here. You can do all this just with doing this. Forgotten how fun this is. There's the mouth of it there. And then go here. Again, this is more of a gestural drawing. You can do something like this. And then if you want to get, you know, much more highlight. Highlight usually is, especially with round objects, it's usually right here. And again, I'm doing this with light source here, like it's sitting right next to a window. So I just realized these have handles on them too. So something like that. And then obviously on the outside, dark here. This would be more, the light would be hitting it. So that's part of this. I want you to use, again, get all these different ones. And the first thing you're going to do, and this is just to get you comfortable with using something you probably have never used before. So let's see. So line, and I'm going to give you a document with different kinds of line that make, having some materials that make a little more sense. So here you have just straight line. That's really easy. That's something you would use actually for looking for the placement of like a cup. Take this out. If you were drawing something like this, you need to place it somewhere or it looks like it's floating. So you'll learn that later also. That's one kind of line. And then there's like this. This is basically a different kind of line. Obviously, it's got more movement to it. In my next video, that's also going to be in the first week, there's going to be really good examples of different kinds of line. So there's also thick, thin, depending on what you're doing. Line is really expressive. When you're doing that, you're gonna be able to express yourself. Obviously, this would be a different kind of drawing. There's also hatching and cross hatching. That's line. Trying to make something look like if this is an apple, you would use cross hatching. It's really kind of fun. And you would do more here to make that darker. It's similar to this concept. Let's make this an apple. And then also you would get less line here to make this a little more light. Same concept as here. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. I'm going to load, I'll do it in a video, but also it's already in the course, Elements and Principles, and you're going to be able to look at examples as a reminder, and as you work on these types of line, it'll really show you like 10 or 12 different ways of looking at it. Line can be circle, and like I said, it could be, you know, like this one. Contour drawing is that. I love contour drawing, so we're going to do that week 2. So anyway, so that's it for now. I'm going to turn this off and enjoy this. I really hope you do. It shouldn't be scary anymore. I am not like super rigid about your drawings, because as you learn, I don't expect even showing line, and perspective. I just want you to have fun with this, because drawing really is fun. I don't want you to be stressed out, as so many people are. I've done this so many times with just regular people who wanted to study with me privately in my home. And they slowly learned how to do this, and then they were able to translate all these concepts to painting. And they did draw pictures. They brought in pictures of something they liked, like if it was a vase of flowers. So to some of you that may not be very exciting, but it's another way of, and I'll have examples of that too. So I'll sign off and start working on the other video. Okay, thanks.